So it's the final Raw before the go-home show to Mania, and it's actually starting to now feel like it is WrestleMania season, and it's kicked up in high gear. Bombs were dropped tonight in Chicago in more ways than one. Some great promo work by Punk, McIntyre, and Rollins, all shooting from the hip too, improvising, great timing. This was a really good Raw. The 3-hour show can sometimes bleed dry and be strenuous, but tonight it flowed smoothly, like a great current. It was storyline driven, promo work, rivalries heightened, advanced. We'll talk all about it. What's up, everybody? Brett Mix here. Here to run down everything that happened tonight on Raw for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Get cozy. We're going to run down Monday Night Raw, everything that happened, whether you watch the show or not, with some analysis on the side. Don't have to sit through ads on this channel. I don't have that kind of subscriber count. Hopefully one day I do, but I don't think you have to watch ads on this channel anyway. At least I don't know. I don't watch my own videos usually, so I hope you don't. I have 330 subscribers. I'm very grateful for that, though. So if you're one of those, thank you for coming to the channel. And if you're not one of those, consider subscribing. I need the help. I'm trying to grow the channel, obviously. We know going in we would get 5 singles matches at least, and the return of CM Punk in his hometown. So just 2 weeks to WrestleMania 40. How would it all unfold? Let's take a look. Cole and McAfee on commentary, as always, for the Red Brand. We kick off things with them showing the link. That's what they call the Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. They've been doing that for the last 5-6 weeks. They show outside Lincoln Financial Field as they preview to WrestleMania, and then they show a live shot of the outside of the arena, the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois, for this March 25th, 2024 episode of Monday Night Raw. The same town where Brett made Austin bleed was where Rock made Cody bleed, outside. How prophetic is that? Steve Austin said this was his favorite crowd to wrestle in front of, Rosemont, Illinois. They opened Raw with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns segment that main evented SmackDown last week. Well, they shortened it up. It was a half-hour segment that they shortened up. Then Cody Rhodes begins with all Chicago singing his song. All of them start the show. Whoa, you know, that whole song. I won't do that ever again. I'll tell you. I'll promise you that. Cody talks about Cole and McAfee because Roman was on his show. That's how Cody Rhodes does his "What do you want to talk about?" That's how he opens the mic. That's how he opens his mouth on the mic. Cody talks about all the things he does, being a best man at fans' weddings, being at birthday parties for kids, and he pretends to be a champion because the reason he's trying to be a champion is because the real champion isn't here. He says Roman screwed him out of his biggest dream last year, so while he respects him, let's make it clear, I hate your guts, Cody says to Roman. And it's fine. He says he took Rock and Roman away from their proposed wankfest at Mania. He asks if the crowd, if they would ride with him, and they all cheered, and he says, 15,000 strong, Chicago. Will you fight with me? And the crowd cheered. He wants the fans to point to the sign all at the same time, which would be a great visual for a future WrestleMania video package when they point to the sign, all of them. So I'm pretty sure they did that for that reason, as everybody points to the sign with Cody as he wants to finish his story. And just as they all point to the sign, it goes, if you smell, and everyone goes crazy with a big oh, as the final boss is here, shocking everyone. Because he was advertised for Raw April 1st in Brooklyn, but no one thought he would be here tonight, March 25th in Chicago. Awesome that they keep some of his appearances as a shock. This one definitely got everyone's juices flowing. Fans chant a bunch of things, including holy shit. Rock got everyone excited. They chant, this is awesome. Just the guy's mere appearance and the fans are chanting, this is awesome. Sometimes that chant can actually be warranted and cool, and that was one of the times. Other than just The Rock's appearance, the crowd chants CM Punk right after this because they're clearly given the floor right now with The Rock just being a mute. And they didn't know what else to do. They were just a hot crowd, so they're like, all right, let's chant CM Punk now. Not actually 10 minutes, but it felt like it. Rock stares a hole through Cody as the two men get closer, and he gets dramatic, and he whispers something with a subtle nature. Rock then gets close and walked off as the crowd chanted, Rocky sucks. The final boss smiles. It's good as he smiles at that chant that made him who he is today. That Rocky sucks chant created The Rock because it brought something out of his personality that he never knew was there. and he shined whenever the crowd chanted that. And now it comes full circle, and he's the final boss, and they chant Rocky sucks, and all The Rock can do with his shades on, looking cool in the entranceway, is smile back. What else can you say but you're welcome? Awesome how that was chanted, and then The Rock just smiles back. So that was the opening segment. Solid promo with Cody. A huge shock with The Rock showing up, but no words were spoken into the mic. Just crowd chants and a stare down. And it's cool how The Rock will rip on the fans ripping on this segment to begin the show about how The Rock didn't say anything. The Rock will have to say a lot before the show ends. And I think it's just great that everyone just complains and has to rip apart things, and that's what we're doing on this channel. We're analyzing, so we're gonna complain when we need to complain. But I thought if they would have just ended it like that with just the whisper, that's cool. We didn't expect The Rock, so I feel lucky that we got him to begin with. So, but they added to it. They definitely added to it. A solid promo again by Cody. It was a moment, and sometimes the best words are said that are none. Sometimes the best words said are none. Was it one of those moments? Well, I don't know, because we haven't seen the alternative in that segment, but it did work out well for the moment, especially with what we know we get at the end of the show. Even The Rock walking to the ring and getting close just to walk off got everyone on their feet chanting it was awesome and holy shit. So will Rock be on this show going forward was the question after that segment. Will they build on his appearance? Either way, again, this worked as a good moment, an overall segment, and it was different. And it was a good segment to settle the show in. Jackie Redmond then got a word with The Rock, which was obviously probably one of the moments of her career. I followed her career for the last decade. She's been a sports broadcaster in Canada. I follow the NHL a lot, and she covers the NHL, and I know how big of a fan she is of Austin and The Rock, growing up watching them, and it was one of her best moments when she interviewed Austin last year at a WrestleMania press conference or something, and it was probably one of her career highlights, interviewing The Rock for that short said moment. He said, "Ask Cody Rhodes what I said." The Judgment Day then get shown, and they said they'll take care of Ricochet and Priest, as plans to make sure they have nothing to worry about at Mania. Rhea says, just win. For crying out loud, just beat the high-flying jobber with horrible mic skills named Ricochet. Okay, well, she didn't say all that, but that's what I'm saying. He got a couple of wins over JD and Dom, but who doesn't beat them? We'll see if he can actually get some wins together consistently, given the company's nature to 50-50 to book. So the first match of the night is Ricochet versus JD McDonough. Will Ricochet win his third match in a row versus the Judgment Day? 15,810 in the crowd, selling out Chicago. Their 11th straight TV sellout on the road to WrestleMania, says Michael Cole. Ricochet with a corkscrew plancha to the outside, giving us our first in-ring commercial break, of course. Back from the break, Ricochet gets hit with a few solid moves. A Spanish Fly almost ended with the match. A brainbuster right before it. Ricochet with a backwards Hurricane Rana this time. They don't even know what to call that move because it was so impressive and crazy. This was a good match here. Ricochet with a springboard 450 splash, and JD got his knees up and broke up the pinfall attempt by Ricochet. Good action both ways as we go to another commercial break. These guys are tearing down the house as we come back from our second commercial break into this match, especially when we've had commercials for half the length. Pat McAfee called it a 6-star match. I wouldn't go that far. I'd say he's about half right. Dom gets involved, tying up Ricochet on the top turnbuckle. He's dropped to his groin. JD McDonough springs to the top to hit Ricochet, but then he hits a 450 splash and gets the 3. Ricochet goes 3-0 against the Judgment Day. I gave the match 3 stars, so that's why I said he's half right on his 6-star match theory. This one was really good, just not as good as McAfee says. So good job for Ricochet getting a victory. Some impressive wins tonight that I didn't think would take place. A couple of them went differently. Most of them went the same way I predicted, but a couple of them, and that was one of them. I thought JD McDonough was for sure going to win that match. But no, Ricochet gets the victory. And I was wrong in the Sami Zayn match later in the night, but that's the other one I was wrong at. But we'll talk about that as we come to it. CM Punk is heading to the ring next with Chicago's sports title he's got on his shoulder. He's got the Cubs logo in the center. Punk comes out to a huge pop, of course, in the Windy City as they chant his name over and over. Punk says everyone is asking if he will be at Mania. And he said, yes, the cult of personality. He says, well, I'm not medically cleared, but my mouth works. Just ask April. Wow. Interesting stuff. Punk does, that's what CM Punk is doing more of what he didn't do a few months ago. A few months ago, they rave about how he's like not non-PG on the mic, but tonight he really showed that. He said a few different things that were, Drew McIntyre had to pipe up a couple times and try and protect the company, even as a heel, which didn't fit the character. It's PG, Punk, and then the other, you'll get canceled for saying this. Like, Drew McIntyre's this goody two-shoes, but he's supposed to be this diabolical heel. It doesn't fit. I don't really get Drew's character at all, but CM Punk says, my mouth works. Ask April, his wife, AJ Lee. I believe that's his wife's name. I believe that's what he's talking about, a sexual reference, right? His mouth working. Punk rips apart Rollins, teases how he could be the ref in his match, talks about his injuries and now he's taller. He talks about how Rock, how he was he was too short to box with God line that he used to say to him when they fought. Then he talks about Drew and his music hit. Punk says, no one wants to listen to that crap. Turn it off. That was great. And he says, why don't you get your bitch ass in here? And McIntyre said, I'd love to beat your arse, but the last time we got in the ring, I prayed for this. Punk says, Drew, I never had to put another man's name on my shirt to sell it. McIntyre says, you got it all wrong, CM Punk. You complete me. It's my motivation. Drew says he's always been the chosen one. And CM Punk says, who called you the chosen one? Seriously, name him. Wow. These guys were on fire tonight, and they were improvising, and they were just letting loose on the microphone. There's at least 3 or 4 hot shots that I missed typing because they were just so rapid and good. Seth then comes out. Punk makes a what's next face as his burn it down hits. There are more jabs here than I could keep up with, as I said. I would go back and rewatch the segment if you can. I'm not doing it justice. So Rollins comes out and does his usual cheap pop and says, Chicago, welcome to Monday Night Rollins. Now we've established whose show this is. He has been going to be, if you two children. CM Punk says, this is my city. It might be your show, but it's my city. Rollins takes a pull of the crowd. Should Punk be on commentary? Fans chant, referee, referee. Punk says, I don't think I can be objective with you two dipshits. McIntyre says, PG, brother. McIntyre keeps trying to silence Punk with the lines like, you can get canceled. It's 2024 for saying these things, Punk. Or it's PG. Rollins says, want to know what I think? Punk goes, nope. One of the best spots of the night. Rollins says, he just burned Rollins there. That's just straight up. Want to know what I think? In a dramatic tone, Punk goes, nope. Perfect. Rollins then, it's hard to be serious right after that, but he tries his hardest, and he says, on commentary is as close to a world title as you're going to get, in all likelihood. Punk then says, it's decided, I'm going to make you two do something that you can't be on your own. And that's interesting. These guys all hate each other, which is what makes this great TV. Wrestling plays on reality when it's best when it plays on reality. For instance, this Montreal Screwjob, McMahon being a heel after that. That worked so well because it was real. People hated Vince. You think they hate him now. They hated him like hell. But people watched because of Stone Cold. He was the reason people still were like, well, we're going to watch Raw. I'm not going to not watch Stone Cold Steve Austin in his prime. And then The Rock caught on. And how are you not going to watch 2 generational talents at the same time on the same show? Doesn't matter how much you hate Vince. You're going to give the bastard money to see Stone Cold and The Rock, right? So that's why it works so well. And that's why this segment worked well. And it was great that CM Punk got to take stabs back finally in his own hometown. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Even if you don't like Punk and you like Rollins and McIntyre, even if that's you, you still gotta like how this segment turned out tonight. I thought it went really well. McIntyre, I could see that ratings doing really good in that slot because The Rock already got people watching in the beginning. That happened at the top of the second hour, which is typically a good it's a good hour for ratings. It's typically the highest, if not the first hour. So I can see that segment which was fire, and CM Punk, I could see them doing a high demo in the 60s at least. 060s, I say. Last week was a 0.55 for reference. I could see them doing and for reference, when CM Punk returned in November, they did a 066. And this is just in the 18 to 49 demo. I could see them doing upwards in the 065 range, 062 range, somewhere in there, 62 to 65. That's my prediction. And as of rating as a whole, I think this Raw will do a 1.9 at least. Anything less than a 1.9 is a fail. They drew a 1.6 last week and a 1.7 the week before, just for reference. So the irony and hypocrisy was real in the segment. I wish this was a triple threat for Mania, but maybe next year. Just a thought between Punk, Rollins, and McIntyre. After that awesome promo, which should draw a great rating, as I just talked about, the promo was fire. We got Shinsuke Nakamura promo, his match with Jay, for a match with Jay later in the night. Who cares? Shinsuke's been booked like an absolute jobber. There's no reason to care about him. As unfortunate as that sounds, because I was a big fan of him at one point. Candice LeRae took on Ivy Nile with Maxine Dupree. Indy Hartwell is with LeRae, but she doesn't like how she's been acting as of late, talking about Maxine Dupree's dead brother, winning matches by cheating. The Pitbull showing great power with a suplex. Candice LeRae knocks Maxine off the ring, and she has a knee injury she's faking, and then she just does a little roll-up and uses the ropes for leverage while she tucks up Ivy Nile and gets the win that way, and then she brags to Indy Hartwell, who just doesn't raise her hand. Half a star for that match. R-Truth thinks it's funny that it's the New Day versus DX when it's, in fact, DIY. He calls Pat McAfee JBL at the commentary table. They show the Bloodlines family heritage at WrestleMania with a Snickers Satisfies ad. Awesome Truth at ringside for commentary as the New Day take on DIY. Last week, DIY and the Creeds had one of the best Raw tag matches in months, hands down. This week, I doubt they'll get the time, but there's still 4 matches booked to take place. We're about halfway through the show already. Imagine if The Rock actually talked in that opening segment. Some fast-paced action takes us to another break. Going to need these small breaks after all the time that mid-match promo took. Judgment Day interrupt the match. Neither team loses. Judgment Day want to run through the talent and make the talent in the ladder match weaker. And R-Truth then just leveled the Judgment Day. I gave the match a 1.5 stars. Razor's edge to R-Truth as the Judgment Day stand tall over him at the end. Redmond interviews Cody about the line whispered to the Cody, and he says he'd rather not repeat it, but The Rock won't be able to make the promise he made. So there's that. Kathy Kelly, interviewer, talks to Gunther backstage and says Sammy's words were empty and he doesn't believe Sammy will even beat Bronson Reed tonight. Kelly says, will you scout him? And he says, like I said, I don't believe he will beat Bronson Reed tonight. Prophetic words by Gunther. Andrade in his return match to Raw, taking on Giovanni Vinci. It was supposed to be Ivar against Andrade, but for whatever reason, they said an injury, so they switched up to Vinci. It's pretty much whoever gets the job to Andrade. They're not going to have Andrade come back and lose. Back from the break, a double knee shot to Giovanni Vinci in the corner. Andrade chops away, looking impressive in there with an impactful clothesline. Giovanni hit with a move called The Message that gets Andrade the win. I gave it 2 stars. An impressive victory in his return to Raw. Rhea Ripley walking to the ring with Dirty Dom backstage. Ripley version of the Sting face went viral to Nia Jax. They reference it sort of on his way to the ring, paying homage to Rikishi, they say. Ripley is about to talk, and the crowd chant, "Mommy." Ripley says Becky isn't taking her seriously. And she says, Dom, tell him, and she gets the word Becky out of the mic, and she should be getting all of her full attention. Once again, she does a cheap pop just like her husband. Becky always says the name of the town, just like Seth. Every single time they're about to speak, they need to say the city name first. Rhea says Becky reminds her of a cockroach, and she mentions her daughter Rue, saying Rue will be calling her mommy. Becky gets all emotional, saying that her dad never got to meet Rue, her daughter, so it might be a joke to her, but if she ever mentions it, it's her only pass. She got to mention her daughter once. They're trying to make this rivalry really personal as Becky gets choked up on the mic saying this, and then she gets sympathy cheers. Dom gets one punched by Becky while Rhea and Becky unload on each other. This is the fight we wanted to get last week when they went face-to-face after the last women's standing match with Nia Jax. Becky and Rhea do what they should have done. They continue the rivalry. They make it personal this time, and they come out with their best promo in the rivalry to date. The press conference one was probably the best one before tonight. So this is definitely their best promo to date. So good job by both ladies. Gable tells Zayn backstage to get his head out of his ass worrying about Gunther, because Bronson Reed isn't just someone to mess around with. I said it in the Raw preview that they would try to protect Reed somehow in a loss. Maybe Imperium runs out, but how wrong I was. They would protect Bronson Reed. I was right about that, but in a different way. They protected him by winning. I didn't think he had a chance of winning, but they continued the story of, can Sammy do it? And this whole Chad Gable side story, it makes you wonder if he's going to turn on him or what's going to happen with that. It's been good so far. Reed with a shoulder block and a suicide planche to the floor by Sammy. This was a really good match here. Zayn overcame a lot of offense. Bronson was impressive off the apron, a powerful vertical suplex. Zayn kicked out. He clobbered the hell out of Sammy. Bronson Reed hits a tornado DDT, planting him on the canvas. Gunther looked on symbolically as he watches on as Brunson hits a senton after dodging a haluva kick as he completely distracted Sami Zayn, and then a tsunami as Zayn is defeated by Bronson Reed. So they're planting further doubt in Zayn by giving him the loss. Bronson Reed gets a big win around 9.5 minutes, 2 stars and a quarter. Reed says he should be the one going to Mania. After the match, Chad Gable says he needs a different approach if he's going to beat Gunther. Never knew Chad Gable was a psychologist, but he seems to know everything right to say to Sami Zayn in the right time, and Sami just agrees and shakes his hand, thinking that it's all good advice. He seems to be his advocate. Jey Uso cut an amped up promo backstage with Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso both reveal their faces to Jey, and the crowd goes ooh and ah, and they mention the bloodline a lot before this match as a way of saying don't go anywhere because something's going to happen. We all know something's going to happen at the end as they've hyped that up, and Seth even says, I got a bad feeling about tonight to get you all to watch this main event. So, but Seth says to Jey, go get that W, I'm here for you. So the main event, Jey Uso versus Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring anyway. They hype the bloodline being there, as I said. It's the last Raw before Mania, so it's starting to feel like either Jey or Shinsuke won was an afterthought at this point. Main event, Jey Uso back from the last commercial break gets the better of Shinsuke Nakamura. I really hate calling Shinsuke a loser because, again, I liked him at one point, but that's how they're displaying it. Nobody home with the Uso splash in the corner, and then vintage Shinsuke with a sliding uppercut under the ropes. Shinsuke caught a thrust kick up high, but a running knee to the back of the Jey. And now Jimmy and Solo come from the back. Cody and Seth come out and attack them as they brawl up the ramp. Solo in the ring, passed by Rollins, who tosses him over the barricade. McIntyre then comes out and gets involved, and he gets a future shock DDT to Rollins on the floor, on the concrete. The fans chant CM Punk, even though because it's in Chicago, even though he's not technically a part of this match, and he's injured, so he doesn't come running out. Back in the ring, Jey Uso hits a spear after a super kick and gets the 3, a 2-star match. That does it for the match portion of the show. After the match, with Jey building momentum, it's the showdown with his brother Jimmy. They had the chaos that ended the night. Bodies are dropping everywhere. Rollins backstage, there's more chaos. To end the night, they had Solo Sikoa go after Cody. Then The Rock attacked him from behind. The Rock came back on screen, threw a trash can at Cody as the crowd and awed. The Rock then gets hardcore and drops tools on Rhodes, who bumps into barricades, and Rock is throwing around, beating the piss out of him. The Rock shoved Cody outside where it's raining a little bit, and the crowd are loud while The Rock is just beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes, and the fans are witnessing this. It happened in real time while The Rock talks trash while he does it. This Rock says this is why he's the final boss. Rock says at WrestleMania this is what's going to happen when you fuck with the final boss. Rock says look at this Mama Rhodes, and it has belt that says Mama Rhodes. And Rock says it didn't have to be this way, but it's the only way. And that's what he does after he makes him bleed. He makes him bleed on the truck after sending him to the truck after he blades. So overall, an epic ending getting out of the ring into the parking lot, something fans will always remember because it's different and they get out of the stereotypical settings. I said that last week when AJ and LA Knight went. I said, why can't they go backstage with a pipe rather than on stage with a chair? And what do? They have a cop segment. They do something people are going to remember. This is similar. They do something people are going to remember. They're going to remember The Rock outside making Cody Rhodes bleed, sending him into a truck with a rope that says Mama Rhodes. They're going to remember that. They're going to remember The Rock dropping an F-bomb. They're going to remember that. I rate this show a 6 out of 10. The ending with The Rock and Cody was epic. Outside the ring, there's some good stuff with Cody bleeding and the Mama Rhodes belt, like I said. The matches on the night were second nature. This was a storyline-driven show between Becky and Rhea putting their best promo work together, to Drew and Seth getting bait slapped by Punk in Chicago verbally, to Cody and Rock at the beginning and the end. Whether you want to talk about the further evolution of Zayn and his belt and his belief if he can overcome Gunther while dropping a huge loss to Reed, or Ricochet looking stronger, or the Judgment Day coming together, or LeRae looking stronger, R-Truth getting revenge on the Judgment Day before that chokeslam by Priest, the Jimmy J material, Andrade getting a big win. This Raw accomplished a lot with the 3 hours it had. The matches flowed. In fact, we only had 2 matches in the first hour and a half. That's how story promo centric it was. And one of those matches was a 1-2 minute Ivy Nile loss. So this was a good Raw, I felt. Better than the average, and it made the 3 hour show run better than it usually does. I don't know if we're going to get Punk on commentary or if that's the best avenue. There's still time where the WWE can call an audible and make him the ref. We'll see what they have planned. They clearly have something planned. Maybe Punk screws with both at Mania. It's going to be fun doing the predictions for WrestleMania. I'll be doing those next week right on here after the Go Home episode of SmackDown, or before it. We'll see if they have the card finalized. Stay subbed. Catch me up back here for the Raw ratings and a SmackDown preview next. Right here on this channel. Thanks to everyone for catching this Monday Night Raw, March 25th, 2024 episode from the Windy City. Have a great night, everybody. Brett Mix. And I'll see you next for the SmackDown preview. This was a good show tonight. Hope you have a good rest of your night. And again, rewatch the Drew segments if you can with Cody and McIntyre. Rewatch that with Cody and Rollins, I should say. That was a fire promo. If you didn't watch the show, make sure you watch that. The Rock and Cody stuff was good too. All in all, 6 out of 10 Raw. Next up is the main event, the Go Home show to WrestleMania. So the final Mania on the road to the final boss. As cheesy as that sounds, that's my ending line. Anyways, guys, I'm done for this Raw review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one. Hit like and subscribe. For Raw, March 25th, 2024 from Chicago, I'm Brett Mix, and I'm out.